And moving over to the US stock market, stocks rebounded on Friday, recovering the ground lost in the previous session as the yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury bond stabilized within a narrow range. The Dow Jones Industrial Average advanced by 391 points to close at 34,283, whilst the S&P 500 increased by 1.5% to finish the session at 4,415, and the tech-heavy Nasdaq Composite rose by about 2% for its best day since May and eventually settled at 13,798. The rebound on Friday was sufficient to lift all the three major indices for a second consecutive week of gains. And for the week, the Dow rose by about 0.7%, whilst the S&P 500 advanced by 1.3%, and last but definitely not least, the Nasdaq outperformed the other indices as it increased by about 2.4%. Please note that the stock market is a leading indicator and points to the overall health and performance of a country's economy. In the US bond market, the yield on the benchmark 10-year Treasury bond was flat on Friday as investors contemplated the outlook for inflation and monetary policy following comments from the Federal Reserve chairman. On Thursday, the Fed chairman said that the central bank was not confident that it had done enough to bring inflation down to its 2% target level. The chairman also noted that despite the progress being made, inflation remains too high, and as such, there was still a long way to go. Consequently, the yield on the 10-year Treasury bond was hovering around a flat line of 4.63%, whilst the yield on the policy-sensitive 2-year Treasury note ticked up by 3.6 basis points to settle at 5.06%. For your information, bond yields and prices are inversely correlated, which means that as interest rates rise, bond prices fall and vice versa.